Most of us only think about citizenship when we're standing in line at an airport. We treat it like a bureaucratic label, a piece of paper that gives us permission to cross a border. But if that status is only administrative paperwork, why do entire nations fracture and fail the moment their people stop participating in the system? To understand how a nation holds together, we look at this breakdown. Citizenship is a dynamic, two-way social contract built on three pillars. First, a legal status guaranteeing protection. Second, political agency to participate in institutions. And third, a shared identity within a community. Because it operates as a contract, it goes both ways. The individual trades their allegiance to the state in exchange for that protection. For the system to survive, both sides have to pay their debts. Let's examine the state side of the ledger. As a citizen, you are recognized as a legal person. That means you have the freedom to act and the standing to demand the law's full protection. To ensure that protection isn't left up to the whims of whichever politicians hold office, it has to be written down in a foundational document. In India's constitution, the state's debts to the citizen are mapped out as fundamental rights. Article 15 guarantees equality by prohibiting state discrimination. Article 19 secures the freedom to speak and assemble peacefully. And Article 21 locks in the absolute right to personal liberty. These articles aren't loose guidelines or gentle suggestions. They act as hard structural boundaries designed specifically to check the authority of the government and prevent the state from overstepping its bounds. We often think of rights as privileges granted to us by a generous state. In reality, they are strict limits placed upon the government by the citizens themselves. But a contract requires a counterweight. Rights cannot function in a vacuum. If the state is providing protection and liberty, the individual assumes a set of responsibilities to maintain that exact system. Mahatma Gandhi framed this relationship explicitly. He argued that the true source of a right is the duty performed to secure it. If we all discharge our duties, the rights automatically follow. The most immediate of those obligations is allegiance. You are legally bound to respect the sovereignty of the state. Next comes the financial reality. Citizens must pay taxes, providing the actual capital needed to fund the state's institutions and legal protections. And in many nations, this extends to the ultimate physical duty, serving in the military and defending the country's borders when called upon. Beyond those hard legal requirements, there are moral expectations. Part 4A asks citizens to promote common brotherhood, preserve the nation's composite culture, and protect the natural environment. The conscious performance of these duties provides the necessary fuel to keep the entire engine of fundamental rights running. Historically, this contract demanded total, exclusive loyalty to one specific territory. You belonged to one nation, and your obligations ended at its borders. We see different models of this loyalty today. While India maintains a strict, unified national citizenship, countries like the USA and Switzerland divide that loyalty, offering dual citizenship at both the federal and state levels. Modern globalization is forcing the contract to evolve even further. International careers, global supply chains, and mass migration are blurring the rigid borders that used to define our civic identities. To adapt, governments are creating new legal frameworks. India introduced the Overseas Citizen of India program, allowing the global diaspora to maintain deep cultural and economic ties with their homeland, even if they don't hold full voting rights. As we face massive cross-border challenges like environmental pollution and economic instability, our responsibilities extend beyond our immediate neighborhoods. The traditional social contract is expanding into a broader framework of global citizenship. Yet, no matter how global we become, governance always returns to physical halls of power. A constitution is ultimately just ink on paper, unless the people enforce it. When a legislature stops making effective laws, or an executive branch fails to carry them out, the public's confidence in the entire democratic system begins to dissolve. The ultimate fail-safe against that collapse is the political agency of the individual. That mechanism is activated at the ballot box. But that agency doesn't stop after Election Day. Citizens use their constitutional rights to form associations, build pressure groups, and peacefully assemble to hold powerful leaders accountable between election cycles. Democracy requires constant, conscious effort. Active citizenship is the mandatory rent we have to pay to live in a free and just society.